What up, fight fans? Main man, made man, back at it. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing. All right, look here, folks. Y'all know how I get down, man. So every now and again, I got to keep it all the way 100 and all the way live on some shit. All right, look here, man. We always give fighters like Keith Thurman hell about not fighting certain fighters at the welterweight division, and at this point in his career, he need to be in big fights, right? And we always give Triple G hell about, hey, it's time for him to get into bigger names and bigger fights, and if it takes leaving the division, then do so, but just get into bigger fights, step up in competition. So my question is, why doesn't we extend that same courtesy to, say, Daniel Jacobs? Daniel Jacobs is the so-called WBA middleweight regular champion. You know what I mean? Now, he has been crowned, basically given this championship title when he defeated Gerard Fletcher last year on the same card as Danny Garcia and Rod Salka, and also Lamont Peterson and Edgar Santana was on that card. Remember that card, that joke of a card? But anyway, it seems as if that, that's when he won his title. And now he's had one defense since he's won that title. I remember when he fought that guy, Truax or something like that. That was his last fight. And since then, and now he also has an upcoming fight now scheduled for August 1st against Sergio Mora. Now, the thing is that since him winning this title, this is his second defense. It's time for this man to step up in competition, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Jacobs stands at 29 knockouts and now a world title around his waist. That's not bad. But then when you take a deeper look and you look at his resume, ladies and gentlemen, you don't see much there, okay? You don't see much there at all, given the names that are at middleweight now. Caleb Truax, that was his name. Caleb Truax. That was Daniel Jacobs' last fight. Okay. But you don't see much of that. Now, we know he only has one loss, and that one loss comes from Dmitry Pyrog. Before I get into that, let me just say hats off to Nestor Gibbs and the entire Boxing Voice crew. They have an interview going around on YouTube as we speak, and it's with Daniel Jacobs, and they are basically bringing it to Daniel Jacobs, bringing that question to Daniel Jacobs front and center. And I got to applaud that fucking interview. But anyway, the only loss that Daniel Jacobs has is Dmitry Pyrog, and he got knocked out in the 5th round during that time. That was the first big step up for Daniel Jacobs, if you will. And that was also for a world championship, for a title. That was for the WBO world middleweight title. That was the same title that was abandoned by Sergio Martinez. Now, he lost that fight, and that was his first real step up in competition. You know? And after that fight, he started to go on a slew of fights with a bunch of lower tier guys. We've seen fights with him between, Jacobs and Jesse Orta and Robert Cleaver and Josh Luterin and Chris Fitzpatrick. We started seeing these basically lower tier fights, you know what I mean? And I believe it was between the Robert Cleaver fight, which happened in March 2011, and the Josh Luterin fight is where he was having his personal battles. Whereas we all know the stories, he caught cancer, some sort of bone cancer that Daniel Jacobs caught, and he fought, and it was a life-changing, life-altering event. Some didn't even know if he was going to make it back to the ring or not, and he beat it. Hats off to Daniel Jacobs again for that. I've made past videos about that, and he beat it. He also lost his grandma around the Dmitry Pyrog fight, so there was a lot of things going on in a man's personal life. So some people may have even given him a pass on some of those issues, on some of those fights. Given his battles with cancer, given him being out of the ring for so long, we understand he needed to take some tune-ups. We understand that, ladies and gentlemen. Lord knows. But the Dmitry Pyrog fight happened in 2010. The roughly cancer incidents happening between, 2011 and 2012? We're in 2015, ladies and gentlemen. Since the Dmitry Pyrog fight, Daniel Jacobs have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights. He's had 9 fights since his loss. And he hasn't fought a top-tier guy in any of these 9 fights. Now, if you say to yourself, well, after he lost against Pyrog, he couldn't get a title fight or whatnot, I understand that. But then he beat Gerard Fletcher for a vacant title, just like in the Dmitry Pyrog fight that was for a vacant title. He beats these guys. He beats Gerard Fletcher for the vacant title. Now he has to step it up. I don't want to, we gave him the pass on Caleb Truax. Now we're going to give him one on Sergio Mora. Take in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Sergio Mora wouldn't be that bad of a fight if he was coming off, say, big fights. Because Sergio Mora is not the worst contender in the world. He's had some decent success throughout his career. Sergio Mora is a former champion at a lower division. He was champion at 154. He beat Vernon Forrest, the late Vernon Forrest, for that belt. Vernon Forrest turned around and beat him in a rematch for the same belt, but he still beat Vernon Forrest for a title, ladies and gentlemen. On top of that, he had a draw with Shane Mosley back in 2010, when Shane Mosley was still considered a very good boxer. He lost twice to Brian Vera, a fighter who lost basically all the top fights in his career. So, this guy, Sergio Mora, is not cream of the creme. He's not cream of the crop by far. He's not elite by far, but he is a semi-good contender. And like I said, if Daniel Jacobs was coming off of a big fight and took a fight, say, with Sergio Mora, it would be more than understandable. But he does not have that big fight, ladies and gentlemen. And the question you got to ask yourself is why? Because there are decent names, say, at the 160-pound division whom Danny Jacobs can fight. Now, we know Daniel Jacobs is an Al Haymon fighter. So, with the politics involved in boxing today, let's try to see if some of the names at 160 whom Daniel Jacobs could have fought or who we've loved to see him fought. Especially since the card that he's fighting on is going to be the first PBC card on ESPN. This should have been a big fucking card, ladies and gentlemen. But Daniel Jacobs is Gennady Golovkin's mandatory. Right? He's been that mandatory since he won the title by beating Gerard Fletcher. Now, the politics of boxing don't allow that fight, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Jacobs fights on Showtime. Gennady Golovkin fights on HBO. Yeah, we've seen HBO and Showtime come together for the Manny Pacquiao-Floyd fight. Yeah, we've seen them come together for Tyson and Lennox Lewis. But these two fighters are not nearly at that caliber of popularity yet. Or not nearly at that, the fight has not been built up enough for that caliber to make these two networks come to the table. It's just not happening. So I understand the politics in that situation. But then Al Haymon himself has other middleweight fighters at middleweight. Yeah. You have Andy Lee, who's an Al Haymon fighter. He's the WBO champion. You have Peter Quillen, who's at 160. He just fought Andy Lee, and they fought to a draw. So Quillen is still alive, but I hear he's trying to get into movies and shit. I don't know. I don't see any reason why I say the David Lemieux fight. Well, then again, I forgot David Lemieux is a Golden Boy fighter. So Golden Boy and Al Haymon don't see eye to eye, so that fight's off the table. Hassan Adam just lost to David Lemieux. I don't know. But that still would have been a possible decent fight for Daniel Jacobs. You have Martin Murray still at 160. That would be a decent fight. You still have Curtis Stevens there. I don't know. But that still may have been a decent fight, a decent name on his resume. He needs that. Sam Solomon is at 160. I think he's a subpar decent fighter. Sergio Mora, by Fight News ranking at least, is ranked 16th in the division, ladies and gentlemen. In the WBA, Sergio Mora is ranked 11th, ladies and gentlemen. 11th. Daniel Jacobs can't fight fighters like Turiano Johnson because he's Rock Nation Sports. He can't fight Miguel Cotto because that's Rock Nation Sports. And Rock Nation Sports boxing doesn't get along with Al Haymon. He can't fight Canelo Alvarez because Canelo Alvarez fights for Golden Boy. And, of course, Al Haymon and Golden Boy are going through court disputes and shit right now. But there's still other fighters that we've just named at 160 whom Daniel Jacobs could fight. Mainly Andy Lee and Peter Quillen being number one and number two. I don't see why not. Andy Lee is a champion. Daniel Jacobs is a champion or something like that. So why don't them two just fight? The fact of the matter is it's time for Daniel Jacobs to step up in competition, ladies and gentlemen. No one's talking about it. None of the uploaders, everyone's giving him a fucking pass. Only person that's really brought it to him is the Boxing Voice. And now, Main Man Made Man. Daniel Jacobs needs to step up. I don't give a fuck if he gets mad. I don't give a fuck if he gets offended. Step it up. These fucking champions want belts. They want titles. They want the pinnacles. They want to be on top, but they don't want to fight the top guys, man. They give you a million fucking excuses. Daniel Jacobs is like, oh, I want to fight Gennady Golovkin, but the time is not right. I get it, the politics, but either way, make it happen. I would like to fight Quillen. You heard me call Quillen. You can sparsely find videos, maybe, or interviews that he's calling out Quillen. Nothing decisively. Never heard him mention Andy Lee. We know Al Heyman has now set him up to get that WBA vacant title or whatever. The Dmitry Pyrog fight was a vacant title fight that even the analysts of HBO at the time, this is the time when he was fighting on HBO. When Daniel Jacobs was fighting for HBO, even the analyst on HBO, Mr. Lampley himself, was like, he couldn't understand why the Daniel Jacobs and Pyrog fight was for a fucking title, for a vacant title, for Sergio Martinez's vacant title. He didn't even know what to make of it. Daniel Jacobs has gifts, ladies and gentlemen. He's been given fucking gifts, fights, gift titles. He also has an analyst job for PBC, so there's a gift job. I don't know. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, if there's health concerns with Daniel Jacobs or what. But the fact of the matter is, it's time for this guy to step up in competition. And there is no justifiable excuse. There's no justifiable excuse. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Until the next video, it's your main man, made man. I'm telling y'all, man, for those who give this dude a pass, you got to let me know why. Why does Daniel Jacobs not have to fight the best at middleweight? Why does Daniel Jacobs not get criticized for fighting all these lower tier dudes? Why does Daniel Jacobs, why? Just tell me why. Is he so special that he gets all of these passes? And do not bring the sickness into it, because I'm not using that no more, because like I said before, this man is a full-fledged fighter. Since he's beaten cancer, he has became a supposed world champion. So it's time for him to step it up. To the next video, it's your main man, made man. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget, I'm on Twitter at MadeMan511. Peace out.